So dear students, you can see that this is the poet Robert Frost, and there are the three pictures of this poet. He was an American poet. Three pictures of his three stages of life. Robert Lee Frost, March 26, 1874 to January 29, 1963. He was an American poet. His work was initially published in England before it was published in America. Known for his realistic depictions of the rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. Frost frequently wrote about settings from rural life in New England in the early 20th century, using them to examine complex social and philosophical themes. Now we are going to read this poem, Dust of Snow. It is just a revision, as you know. I will just give the meanings of the stanzas there. It's a very short poem of two stanzas, or rather it's a quatrain, two quatrains in the poem. And in this poem the poet has given a profound view of the nature and how nature can be so healing. Robert Frost was also known as nature poet because he believed that nature can give a lot of comfort and solace to the souls which are troubled and depressed. So in this short poem by Robert Frost, Dust of Snow, the poet has described how the trivial things, the small things in nature, can bring about significant changes in the life of the people. Now, I here is, or my in this poem is the poet himself. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had due. Now, in this poem, you can see that there is a crow, a hemlock tree, and you can also see the second line in the second stanza, a change of mood. The poet who was in a depressed mood, who was sorrowful, who was being very pessimistic because of the things in the society that was going on around him, and also because of his personal problems in life, he was in a very, very submerged mood when, what happened? When he went out in the nature, he was sitting under the shade of a hemlock tree. There was a crow which shook the branches and shook down on him the dust of snow. Dust means the particles. So there was snowfall and there was snow particles or snow resting on the branches of the and leaves of the tree. At that time a crow sat there, and when it flew, it shook down all the dust of the snow, rather the snow itself, on him. Now, crow, you know, crow is a bad omen bird. And similarly, hemlock tree. Hemlock tree is also a tree which has poisonous fruits. Now, these two images that the poet has used in his poem give a message that all these bad omen things, or all these things which cause a kind of sorrow in the people, there can be something which can change your mood or change the view of life. So this crow, which is not a very beautiful bird to be sung about, the poet has used the symbol of crow to show that how this crow can also bring about change in a particular person's heart or mind. And when the snow dust was showered or got showered due to that crow, his heart changed. There was a change of mood. Suddenly he felt that it was so refreshing. His mind changed, his feelings changed, and his attitude also changed, and saved some part of a day I had rued. Saved some part, that is, the whole day that he was regretting for something, that had been saved. That is, when there was a change of mood, he could think in a positive way. He thought about all the good things that had happened in his life rather than the problems and sorrows that he was pondering over. So, the poet in these lines has depicted that the hemlock tree or the crow can also bring about a change in the thinking of a person. Here, the poet himself feels that there was a change because of the snow that fell on him due to the crow. Now, dear students, you must be knowing that so many poets sing of birds and nature. They talk about beautiful birds, whereas Robert Frost has found something positive about a crow also, as you can see in the poem described by me just now. Crow is not a very beautiful, it's neither beautiful nor is its voice very sweet. Then why has the poet used the crow as the symbol in this poem? Similarly, hemlock tree. The poet has not talked about oak trees or willow trees. The poet has not talked about maple trees. But the poet has talked about hemlock tree. Maple trees are those that produce a kind of sugary syrup, and their leaves are very beautiful to look at. Similarly, oak trees, which are very tall, which can be used for various purposes. Willow trees. There are thousands and thousands of trees, but the poet chose hemlock tree, which has poisonous fruit. So we can say that the poet has an optimistic view for even these small things, because these small things only made his life worthwhile. Now, as you must have seen, children, when you are in a bad mood or you are feeling very low and sad, at that time, if somebody splashes water on your face, how do you feel? Don't you feel refreshed? Yes, you do. And that is why there is a change of mood. Similarly, it's a very small thing that happened to the poet, but it gives a great message. So this is the poem Dust of Snow. Now, there is another poem, very short poem of Robert Frost, which I'll be discussing just now. Now, this is another poem by Robert Frost that it's included in your syllabus. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and it would suffice. So in this poem, as you can see, there are two symbols used by the poet, fire and ice, as the title itself suggests, fire and ice. Now, the poet has attributed these two symbols to human feelings and the human attitude towards nature. The poet feels that the negative attitude of the human beings can end this world, be it ice or fire. Now, in these lines, the poet has said that some people believe that the world will end in fire, some say in ice. As we also are speculating these days that the world will come to an end, and it may be due to biological war, or it may be by the World War III, or it may be due to so many things. You can see how the world, the people in the world are getting destroyed due to COVID-19 virus itself. You have seen that how many people have perished. Similarly, slowly, gradually, the world is coming to an end. And here the world is also significant because the poet means the world of a person. The person himself, the human beings himself, are destroying their own world, maybe the physical world and his own world. And this is because of fire and ice. Fire stands for avarice, lust, greed, and ill feelings towards others. Whereas ice stands for cool temperament, that is not having a kind of intimacy with people, cold-heartedness, hatred for people. See, when you have hatred for people, you have a cold behavior towards others. Ice means cold behavior. That is, you do not want to mingle with people, you do not want to socialize with them, you don't want to talk to them. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. So I have tasted of desire means I have understood the impact or the bad impact of desire. Desire means lust and greed. So the poet says that what I have understood and felt and experienced of greed, I hold with those who favor fire. That is, he says that he agrees to those people who know that because of this greed, we are going to destroy our world. But if it had to perish twice, and if it is destroyed due to fire, then there will be complete destruction. But the poet feels if it does not get destroyed by fire, then perhaps it may be getting destroyed twice, that is second time, and second time it can be due to ice. So it is all the speculation of the poet. Now, I think I know enough of hate. The poet feels that in the society, people have a lot of hatred towards other people. They don't want to be loving and generous to others. And to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. To say that means to say that ice can also destroy the world would be the sufficient, it will be a sufficient source to see the doomsday of the world. So in this way, the poet has described his feelings about how the world will come to an end. Now look at the literary devices used in Fire and Ice. The rhyming scheme is A, B, A, B, C and B, C, B. Assonance. It is a repetition of vowel sounds in the same line. The repetition is at different places in different words. Example, the long sound of O in hold with those who favor fire. Alliteration is the repetition of a consonant sound at the start of two or more closely placed words. Example, the sound of F in favor fire and W in world will. The poet has also used imagery, as I told you just now. Imagery is used to make readers perceive things involving their five senses. The whole poem seems to be, both the poems seem to be full of imagery, because an image of the world and the image of the snow falling on the poet can be felt and experienced in front of our eyes. Some say the world will end in fire, to say that for destruction ice is also great. So these lines show imagery in the lines. Anaphora, the repetition of a word or expression at the start of two or more consecutive lines. Example, some say is repeated at the start of lines 1 and 2. Now let us look at the literary devices used in The Dust of Snow. The rhyme scheme is AB, AB, CD, CD. So there are 4 lines in the first stanza, in which AB, AB means the first line rhymes with the third line, and second line rhymes with the fourth line. In the next stanza also, similarly, the fifth line is not like the first line. So in the second stanza, you can see, again we'll count from the first, second and third, fourth lines. The first line of the second stanza rhymes with the third line of the second stanza. Similarly, the second with fourth. So we have another figure of speech, that is alliteration, the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. The instances of alliteration are as follows: has given my heart and saved some part. Inversion. When the structure of a sentence is changed by the poet to create rhyme, this poetic license is called inversion. In stanza 1, inversion can be seen. Assonance. The prominence of a vowel sound throughout a line is called assonance. In stanza 1, line 2, shook down on me, the O sound is prominent. Enjambment. When the same sentence continues to the next line without the use of any punctuation marks, it is called enjambment. It has been used throughout the poem. So this is how we have come to the end of this poem, and let us now